Guys, listen closely, because what happened at 4:50 a.m. on the Crimean Bridge is nothing short of jaw-dropping. So imagine this. The bridge, Putin's $4 billion pride project, suddenly lit up again. Flames. Explosions. Total chaos. And no, this wasn't a simple truck bomb or some sneaky sea drone like before. The wreckage had a very specific signature, the kind that only American-made glide bombs leave behind. And here's where things get wild. Ukraine didn't just damage the bridge. They flew F-16 straight through Russia. Impenetrable air defenses hit the exact spot they wanted and came back home before sunrise. Something everyone said was nearly impossible. But it happened. This whole operation had a name. Operation Blindfolded Bear. And honestly, the name fits perfectly. The entire plan relied on a razor-thin balance of high-tech American gear, Ukrainian homemade decoys put together in workshops. Now the hero of this mission was the F-16 Block 50, a beast in U.S. service. But here, flying alone, it was the hunted. The pilot was carrying 4 GBU-39 glide bombs. These are small, smart, and insanely precise. Normally they're used to hit something like a parking spot from 46 miles away. But this time they were aimed at a tiny expansion joint on a bridge support that was already weakened from the previous attack. And that wasn't even the tricky part. The bombs had to hit exactly as a Russian ammo convoy rolled over that point. Basically, they needed to shoot a bullet into another bullet while blindfolded. On the other side, Russia had its famous S-400 air defense system. The system they claim can see everything. Its giant gravestone radar watches 300 targets at once. And those Mach 6 interceptor missiles are designed to erase jets, like the F-16, long before they reach the bridge. On paper, this mission was basically a suicide run. So how do you beat something that supposedly never misses? You make it hallucinate. Ukraine didn't just send one jet, they sent a whole digital nightmare. Dozens of cheap drones and decoys were transformed into a fake invasion force. 50 little devices and a handful of boats suddenly became a ghost fleet on radar. The whole point, by a narrow, fragile 30-second window, one gust of wind, a tiny timing error, and the pilot would disappear from this world. They estimated the chance of failure at around 70%. By 4:45 a.m., the Black Sea was pitch black. Inside the F-16, the pilot, callsign Ghost, was flying dangerously low, skimming only 200 feet above the waves. One wrong dip and he'd crash. One wrong lift, and the S-400 would kill him. The Russian radar was already awake, scanning everything. Then right on cue, the water in front of him erupted with movement. 10 Magura Sea drones suddenly stopped, opened their hatches, and launched 40 modified FPV drones straight into the sky. This part amazed me. The sea drones basically acted like delivery trucks, carrying the quadcopters close enough so they wouldn't run out of batteries. Smart improvisation. As the FPVs climbed, the plan split. 5 Magura drones escaped. The other 5 became sacrificial pawns. They switched on special reflectors that made them look massive on radar like landing craft. Meanwhile, the FPVs activated spoofing devices that tricked the S-400 into thinking 40 cruise missiles were coming in low. The Russian systems freaked out. Their radar screens turned into a storm of false targets. Pantsir crews panicked, switched to manual mode, and fired everything they had. Autocannons, missiles, the works. They were shooting down cheap $500 quadcopters, using weapons meant for million-dollar targets. They even celebrated when they hit a few. But while all this chaos unfolded, Ghost was quietly racing forward, hidden behind the curve of the earth. Every gun firing at the drones was one less gun pointed at him. Meanwhile, the S-400 computers were overloaded. They simply couldn't filter the fake signals fast enough. Ghost was invisible. As he got closer, more drones were destroyed. 15, 20. All gone. The sky glowed from all the gunfire. Russian crews started relaxing, thinking they had won. But that moment of calm was the trigger. 5 remaining Magura drones suddenly surged toward the bridge, blasting electronic noise to simulate another wave. Missiles. Russian sensors panicked again. They shifted all attention downward. Exactly what Ghost needed.
He pulled back hard, climbing from 200 to 2,000 feet in a single violent move. Now totally exposed, he lined up his targeting pod. Below him, a long convoy of Russian trucks, 20 large HIMARS vehicles carrying artillery shells, was moving across the exact weak point of the bridge. Perfect timing. He waited. The trucks reached the kill spot. He released 2 glide bombs. Then everything turned. A missile launched instantly. Ghost pushed the F-16 harder than ever. Afterburner roaring, 9G turn flares. Chaff, nothing, fooled the missile. In a final desperate move, he turned perpendicular to the radar beam. The missile got confused and locked onto one of the bombs instead, blowing it up. Only one bomb remained. That single smart bomb corrected its course, sliced through the cover of a truck, and then silence. A millisecond later, 500 tons of artillery shells detonated together. The explosion was like ripping a hole. In reality, a fireball, 1,300 feet wide, erupted. Temperatures hit levels that melt steel. The entire bridge span buckled by meters. Roads twisted. Rail lines snapped. A giant section of the Crimean Bridge simply collapsed. 12 miles away, Ghost, now flying at Mach 1.1, saw the bright flash behind him. He had just enough fuel to escape. When the smoke finally began to clear, the cost analysis was brutal. Ukraine spent maybe $1.3 million. Russia now faces hundreds of millions in repairs, the destroyed convoy, and a crippled logistics chain to the entire southern front. And now the world is asking the real question. Is this the beginning of the end of Russia's control over Crimea? Or will Moscow somehow rebuild again? Tell me what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments.